Hi, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne. And with me in the studio, I have the phenomenal, the fabulous Miss Liz Estabrooks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Thank you for being fabulous.
Same to you, girlfriend.
Yes. So, as you know, if you've been paying attention, this is the second show of the day, and I am just so excited about this month's lineup. I am highlighting some phenomenal women that I know in and around Worcester. And please, I know that the month is going to end, but if you have some phenomenal woman that you wanted to recommend that didn't make it this month, don't worry. There's just not enough days in the month to highlight everyone. So please go ahead and recommend. I do want to thank you to all my loyal subscribers who's loyal to YouTube and now to Facebook. Thank you for tuning in week after week. We hope that it is going to be a consistent thing for you. So thank you for that. Thank you to my sponsor, Paul Anderson. If you're interested in being a sponsor, please connect with us and let us know. And just so you know, at the end of this month, when we wrap up the series for Phenomenal Woman, on Thursday the 28th, we're having the I Got You Sis Summit, where we're going to be talking a lot about sisterhood and the power of sisterhood. But today in the studio, as I mentioned, I have the fabulous Miss Liz Estabrooks. She is the president and CEO of Jax Seafood and so much more. So you're going to have the opportunity to find out all about her, and you'll be as inspired as I am when I heard her story. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great being here. The
Yep.
studio is amazing.
Well, thank
Yes,
you.
and
I do like.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time dream of mine, and I was very blessed that things were able to work out in my favor. So I'm excited about that so that, I can get people like you in the chair.
Well deserved.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. God has been good to me. So, you are the owner, founder, and CEO of Jax Seafood, and there's so much more that you do. So, we're going to start off by talking about what is Jax Seafood and
Sure.
not the name Jax. Thought that was fabulous.
It's actually it's really
Tell
funny
us.
because you have no idea how many people are like always because I'm very face forward in my company that
Yes,
want to know who Jax is or where Jax is or they
yes,
call me Jax. So I
yes.
kind of just let it go at this point.
Yeah.
But Jax is my dog, Jackson. So Lizzie Seafood didn't really have a ring to
Yeah.
it, and to be able to honor him in that way because he's
Mm,
just the best.
yeah.
So yeah, we are a fresh seafood and shellfish company. We do lots of deliveries, shore to door, so there's no hold time with any of our products. We do a lot of work with different area businesses and CSAs, and we have a presence at a lot of area farmers markets, actually across the state. So yeah, and we have many, many products, and then we also have a small dog treat company called Jack's Chews. We have sauce and we have some burgers. And we have there's a lot to Jack's. Yes.
There is a lot to Jax.
Yeah.
So, how did Jax come about? Because this was not an inherited company. You started this company. Because a lot of times when people see women in business, they assume that they inherited this company. They inherited the company. So, you
Yes.
started this. So, let's talk about how the vision came to life.
I feel as though trying to solve problems is just in my nature. So I feel like it kind of happened organically. I had gone into a fresh seafood market. So I targeted a market specifically for seafood, and I had gone in and I wasn't completely impressed with the quality.
Mm,
And so as a consumer, I was a little disappointed. But I could kind of see it from a business angle where, this the store is buying hundreds and hundreds of pounds of seafood, and some of it's going out, some of it's getting frozen, and back and forth, back and forth. And that compromises the integrity and the quality of the fish.
mm-hmm,
So I'm like, we live in New England. How is this a
mm-hmm,
thing? So I said, how do we do this so that we can really make sure that we are, giving our community and ourselves the best seafood possible? So that's how we came about. So we don't have a storefront. We're all pre-orders and deliveries, and everything's no hold time. So no storefront, so no overhead, but also we can ensure the freshness for our
mm-hmm.
customers because there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
further complicates the logistics, of course. So it's yeah, but
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, because I worked in retail leadership for a very long time, and one of the things like some company had, it was like the just-in-time delivery,
Hmm.
which is something that you do. That means there's no margin for error.
Yeah. And seafood is there's a very there's
Like
very so much, you know.
even more so,
Yeah,
no margin for error.
exactly.
So, what has that been like? Just starting the company and running the company.
It's been a lot of fun, you
Yeah.
know. I think it's helpful that I'm a very humble lady and a very humble leader, and
Hmm.
I listen and I'm diligent. So,
Mm,
making sure that I'm really honest with myself about, questions that things that come up, or
hmm.
trying to stay agile to change if
Mm,
things change, because everything, people and businesses grow and change,
hmm.
and we have to move along with them. So,
No, absolutely. I
yeah.
mean, the pandemic taught us that things shift and change. You remember, like, you had to go in person for everything, and after the pandemic, we were
Hmm.
having telehealth. We were meeting with our doctors,
Yeah.
interviews, like everything. And before we were told you couldn't do that, right?
Right.
And then, so as trends, economy, and everything shifts, we have to adapt, and flexibility is so important.
Yep. And humility, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. No,
All of the
absolute.
humility. That's why.
No, you have
So,
to, as a business owner, you do
yep.
have to be humble because it's like circumstances will force you to be humble if you're not humble.
Absolutely.
And just understanding,
Hmm.
your own capabilities. And obviously, I mean, dream big. There's no limits to what we can do. But I think, making strategic partnerships, asking for help,
Absolutely.
and owning up to a mistake if we make it.
Absolutely. And I've been really lucky, 'cause I'm a small business. I work with other women
Hmm.
small businesses across the state.
Hmm.
And, we can we sit there, we have our event sessions, go back and forth and support each other in our business ventures. And it's been really collaborative and
Mm.
empowering. And, it's a special thing. So,
It is, and that is something that I
yeah.
know, and I haven't known you that long.
Hmm.
That's so important to you is collaboration and sisterhood.
Everything. Yes.
It's everything. Every conversation we've had. There's somehow it gets into the conversation. I think it's something that we're both so passionate about. We're like,
Yes.
just the importance of supporting each other and showing up for each other in whatever way that you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always kind of believed in that. I say, I think that comes like inherently for me. I think we talked about before a little bit about my adoption, being adopted.
Mhm.
So always searching for collaboration and
Mhm.
family and things like that. So I know how important it is to be
Mhm.
there, to show up, to support,
Mhm.
to be able to sit and cheer everyone on. And I've always
Mhm.
just wanted to see people do well,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And yeah, it's a brilliant thing.
The more people that are doing well, I think the better the economy is. And people don't realize it's like rising tide lifts all boats, right? So you don't want to be the only one in your hemisphere that's successful. I mean, it's just not
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
And we want everybody to do well and do all the things. So congratulations on Jax Seafood.
Thanks.
And Jax has his own thing now, so now he can eat the food because the
Because I'm like, that one's in charge. He's in
yeah, so
charge. Yeah.
it's like kudos, Jax, if you're watching. I hope he's watching. And Jax is a dog, just
Yes.
FYI.
Yes.
That Jax is your baby.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
So
Beautiful
in
son.
addition to being the founder, the president, and the CEO of
Hmm.
Jax Seafood, you do one or two other things.
Couple other things.
Other things.
I do what I'm asked.
You do, honey, you know what? And, we're going to talk about like just how you get to be so passionate about certain things about women and children and support. But you work for CASA or you're on the board for CASA.
Yes. So I've been a volunteer with CASA. So I actually started as a volunteer with CASA as an
Hmm.
advocate. And then I went to the board of directors, and in between that and up to this day, I chair the Champions for Children event. And I was a part of the committee for the golf tournament when we had
Hmm.
that going on. And pretty much anything and everything anyone needs at CASA, I'm there. So,
So for someone who doesn't know CASA, because I recently
yes,
found out again about what CASA is, let's
yes.
talk about what CASA is and how important it is to the neighborhood, the fact that it is local, and just the impact it has on the community. So what is CASA?
Absolutely. So the CASA Project Worcester County stands for the Court Appointed Special Advocates of Worcester County. And we serve children that are in DCF in all 60 towns in the county. So it's a lot of
Hmm.
towns,
Hmm.
in 4 juvenile courts. And we advocate for their best interest in life and in court. So a child will come into the DCF system, into foster care, and they're appointed by a judge, an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stay with them throughout the duration of their case, so until permanency is reached. So whether it be reunification with their biological family or adoption.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the one consistent piece of their puzzle.
Mm.
We stay with them because their teachers change, their schools
Mm.
change, their foster homes change, their social workers change. We are the one that they can rely on, and we look after their best interest again in life, in court, and we make sure that all their needs, their educational needs, their social needs, their medical needs, their legal needs, that they have everything they need. So we really are able to amplify their voices in court to the judge. So that's what we do. We meet with the child at a minimum of one time a month.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the advocates meet with them a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And then we write up reports that are then given to the judge and read by the judge. And they always take that into considerations.
Mm, absolutely. I
Yeah,
think it's so important that they have that consistency because, as you mentioned, there's so many things that's happening and there's so much trauma that they're going through at the time. So having something or someone consistent who are looking out for their needs, nobody else but their needs, I think is
exactly.
so important. That's why CASA, I think, serves such a very critical role
Yeah.
for them. So, what are some of the things that CASA does in the community, and how can we get involved?
Oh, well, we always need advocates. Right now, we have over 200 advocates, active advocates. So the community is really involved. I
Awesome.
think a lot of it is people just not knowing what we're
Mm,
about and how, critical our mission
mm-hmm,
is, right? And these kids do need us. And
mm-hmm,
like I said, we're serving kids in 60 towns in our community, right?
mm-hmm.
So we have at the CASA office, I mean, there's only coming up on Monday, we'll have 15 people in the office. So it's
Wow.
all hands on deck.
Mm,
Everyone that is affiliated with the organization are deeply passionate about the mission and the work that we're doing. And, it's it's essential work, because the
mm-hmm.
kids don't have anyone else.
Mm.
So
No, that's absolutely important. Any events coming up for CASA that the community can show up and support?
of course. So the Champions for Children event is coming up on September 12th. I know you said you would be there Thursday, September 12th. It's at the Synergy Glass Tower
Mm-hmm.
in downtown. So we're already, we have a committee, another volunteer committee, and I chaired the event, and we're already
Mm-hmm.
working on executing the event. So we're really excited about that. This is our third year since COVID
Wow.
back. So
Okay.
yeah, we won a few awards from a couple of the news outlets
Mm-hmm.
in the past 6 months or so. So we've been really fortunate, and I think that's really kind of pushed things along, and people asking questions about the organization and the work that we're doing. So
Oh, that's wonderful. So CASA doesn't actually generate income, so you guys operate on grants.
so we have people can donate.
Oh,
So
and
largely on people that will donate, and then of course grants. And
mm,
luckily we've had other outlets, so we always kind of have
mm,
opportunities there to support. So we do have monetary donors, of course. We have our
okay.
volunteers,
Mm-hmm.
because that is a lot of the
Key.
manpower. Like I
Mm,
said, we have 14 board members. We're volunteers. We have a little over 200 regular volunteers that are advocates, and then we have coming on 15 office staff. That's not a lot.
mm,
So we can always use it's an all hands on deck. So there's many different ways, showing up for the events, coming in to train to
mm-hmm.
potentially become an advocate, or if you have a business to sponsor us. Yeah.
Wonderful. All
Yeah,
right. So, do they just go on the website if you're interested? Like, you just want to make an
absolutely.
anonymous donation, you could just go
Yes.
on and donate any amount. You can get as involved as you want, or if you want to just help out monetarily, absolutely, you can go on the CASA website, find out
Yes.
about it, and donate. And if you want to volunteer, there's also all that information on the website.
Absolutely. So it's www.thecasaproject.org. And you can contact us all from there. We have an absolutely amazing executive director, Julie, which we both know.
Yes, lovely.
Like I said, the staff, everyone's wonderful. People love to talk about CASA, so
Yeah.
you'll always find guidance there. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think, you put out, like, you get back what you put out. And I think, over the past couple of 2 years, I've just connected with so many phenomenal people like you. I've
Yeah.
met Julie, like just
Hmm.
find out about the Casa.
Yeah.
And there's just so many phenomenal women and people in the community that are so passionate about so many things that are critical for our youths, which I think is such a challenging demographic because there's so much for them to deal with at this time. So I think any space that they have the opportunity to feel safe, to grow, and to feel included, I think it's so important. I think that's why it's so critical that CASA continues to be and continues to advocate for these youths who sometimes can't advocate for themselves. So
Absolutely.
congratulations and great job. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
Julie will be on the show one day.
Thanks. She will be. She promised me actually. So
She
yes.
did. Okay. Fantastic. So, Julie, you heard that, right?
She's on
So,
that now. She's obligated.
like, yeah, now you have no choice because it said so, and this is out there in the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
So that is just so wonderful, and thank you for sharing all that
Yeah,
information about
definitely.
CASA. And I learned something new every day about CASA, which every time I talk to you,
Yeah.
and just how passionate you are about it. So, in addition to CASA, I know you also
Yeah.
work with Make a Wish.
Yes, I've been a volunteer at Make-A-Wish for probably 16 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And, for them, it's wish granting, there's fundraising. I'm the Worcester County liaison for the volunteers. I'm on another board, and again, it's literally these organizations. I'm so passionate about them. It's just whatever they need, by all means necessary, whatever you need, I'm
Yeah.
there. If I
Yeah.
can help, I will,
Yeah.
which is goes back to an important thing of always showing up, making sure
Yeah.
you're showing up for the things that you love and believe in, and if and when you can give back, do so.
If you can, I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
sometimes, we have to stretch ourselves because sometimes we think we cannot. But like
yeah,
having information, honestly, you were like, oh, okay, it's that simple, can do it. Because sometimes we assume that we know, and it's something that you love to say. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
yep. I know. I say that all the time. Lately, I always say that.
Like, you don't know what you
Yeah,
don't know. But it's the absolute truth because like you assume something is like, well, I can't even donate because or I can't even volunteer because they need this, they need that, and not real. I mean, you talk to them, they're like, well, you can do this. You can be as involved as you want, or you can do stages, what you're capable of doing because
yeah.
anything is impactful, anything is helpful.
Absolutely. And it's like I said, that's part of, really making sure that we're supporting and cultivating a diverse community of
Mm-hmm.
supporters across, because it's important what I bring to the table, maybe you can, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And, all we are doing is really empowering these organizations with that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think diversity is so important because like everyone has lived experiences and everybody lives experience. There's similarities, but there's
absolutely.
differences. It's based on culture, sexual orientation, socioeconomic
Hmm.
status. So everybody has a voice, I believe, and everybody has, their voice deserves to be heard.
Yeah.
But sadly, as you have found out by, with the people that you help and the demographic that you help, their voice is typically silenced. So, it's nice that someone like you is there to advocate for them, to speak up for them. So that's why we need a CASA.
Yeah,
We,
it's necessary work. I always say that, with all the different organizations that I'm affiliated with,
yeah,
I do tell people that CASA is my most impactful work. You can really
mm,
change a child's story.
you
So,
can, you can, and that is just so important. These are
yeah,
future leaders of
they
tomorrow.
are.
Like, no,
We need them. We need
we
them.
really
Yeah.
are. Listen, I know who's
Mhm.
responsible for this, what's going on,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we need you all. So let's stand up for them and advocate for them.
Yeah.
So everything that you do though is so focused and centered around helping kids and the marginalized and the underrepresented. What drives this passion for you though?
Um, I feel as though I've always been compelled to help out and give back in any way that I could. When I was younger, there was I believe it was a homeless shelter, and then they had a soup kitchen
Mhm,
in my town of Webster where I grew up.
mhm,
And my dad was friends with the couple that ran the soup kitchen. And I think I was probably around 7 or 8 when I asked to volunteer there. So my
wonderful.
parents would drop me off at the soup kitchen when they would have their dinners. You'd go in there and you talk to, you'd scoop
Mhm,
food and you'd clean up and set up and then help break everything down. And I think I remembered how that always felt.
mm.
And I've always just really been compelled to, give back in any capacity that I can. Um, Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
I mean that's amazing.
yeah.
I personally believe that volunteer, like, because again, he was like you volunteer, it's like this feels good, but it really and truly does. It's like you
Hmm.
get just like wow, and I think just watching the impact that it has on the lives of others, I think it's an incredible thing.
Yeah, if you can help out and empower anybody in any way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
you should. It's like that's my work with the Colombian adoptees. I was adopted from Colombia as a baby, and now, I get the privilege of working
Mm.
with other adoptees and helping them, through their present situations and
Mm-hmm.
the reunification process. And that's important to me, you know what I mean? Obviously, because I am a Colombian adoptee myself, I do have that lived experience that I can
Mm-hmm.
provide them. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, that's important because I think, we've heard, stories, about adoptions and some great and some not so great.
hmm
So to have someone who has been through that, be that face, that's why representation is is so important. The representation matters.
hmm
Just going back to these spaces and again, sharing your experience and just advocating for them and standing in for them.
yeah.
So, girl, you CASA, Make a Wish. I know you also work with UMass. You volunteer at UMass.
I've been with the Cancer Walk office for a very long time. Again, we sit on a steering committee for the walk and a
Hmm.
couple subcommittees. And again, it's just whatever they need, they know,
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
ask. So,
Okay. So going back to it, so you mentioned that you were adopted, and I know
mhm.
that you work with a Colombian adoption agency, right?
With some of the adoptees.
The
So they're, yeah.
adoptees. So I know a few people that have been adopted and they're struggling with it. Like, and I know we can't be general and offer advice, but like, what advice would you give to them? Like, where would you tell them to connect or reach out, or what resources would you recommend?
Honestly, there's a lot of groups. So there's one really large group that was formed on Facebook, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how a lot of us had started networking together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we worked with a woman who's actually from Colombia. She married an American, and she's the woman that helps facilitate a lot of the reunifications.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot in between that too, because everyone,
Absolutely.
as you just said, everyone's experience is different.
Mm-hmm.
I always deem myself extraordinarily lucky. I have a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful family,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful adoptive family and family that I had a great experience, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not that traditional
Mm-hmm.
um heartache, but yeah, so I deem myself fortunate that I'm able to share my experience with others
Mm-hmm.
and, help them sort through. So it's kind of like a mentorship program.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with, yeah,
All right.
from all ages. They're all ages too, because a lot of the younger kids, which is actually really beautiful, now that we have these groups. Because when we were younger, you would be
Yeah.
lucky. Maybe there was someone. I think there was like a pair of maybe twins from my church that were adopted, and then my
Wow.
parents had very good friends that had two daughters that were also adopted from Colombia, but it was harder to connect with people that were fellow
Mm-hmm.
adoptees.
Yeah.
So now some of the parents will actually go on like the Facebook groups
Mm-hmm.
or go on some of the websites, and they'll connect their children and they can kind of ask questions to them. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice safe space because again, that's lived experience that you really,
You can't get it anywhere else. You can't watch it in a movie, you can't
yeah.
read it in a book,
Hmm.
right? But I think I mean, there's so many things with the internet, right? Like good or bad, but it
Yeah.
has helped
Yeah.
in some respect, having that opportunity to connect because otherwise, like if somebody's in Arkansas and how do you connect with somebody in Arkansas if you live in Worcester and
Yeah.
things like that, they feel alone, they feel isolated because
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the things trauma does to us sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It makes us feel isolated. It's like nobody will understand
Yep.
why I went through this or nobody else has ever gone through this. And
Identity and belonging is a huge thing.
it's so
Yeah.
important. It is so
Absolutely.
important. Like seeing somebody that looked like you or somebody had a similar experience, you're like, yes,
Yep.
I'm not alone.
You're
So,
not, yeah, and then you don't have that, you know what I mean? You're like
so
to someone and it's like kind of like that reach out of a hand. You're like, all right, you got me,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. So, hey, I mean, listen, I believe in, I'm having a whole summit call. I got you, sis, because Really, we
You
have.
know, I'm hoping I can make it.
Yes, I'm hoping, and I'm so appreciative. Like the community shows up in support, but I will say this: there's always so much going on in the community,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yes.
always say, if you can make it to an event, great. I appreciate it. If you're not, just like the post or send me a thumbs up or like whatever it is. I listen. I understand. I don't assume you can't make it, because I
What
get
is the date
life.
again?
It's March 28th from 5 to 9 at the JMac.
JMac.
So yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So again, but like, we are so busy, right?
Yeah.
There's just so many other things that get in our way, or well, that we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. All the checklists, all the scheduling, you know.
It is. And
Yeah.
then we start adding stuff, right? Ah,
Yes. Yes,
like,
we
yeah,
do.
exactly. It's kind of like, because I know that you are fascinated by education, so you're
Yeah.
always
Always learning.
improving and gaining stuff and getting other stuff. So it's like we do
Mm-hmm.
we do some things.
Yeah.
We do
That's
some.
important to keep evolving as a person, you know what I mean?
How do you grow if you don't know?
Exactly. I
You
like
know.
that. That actually.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
just like you said it. It's like you don't know what you don't know, but
Yeah.
you can't grow if you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that like there's just so much opportunities out there. And for those listening, I get like, listen, I think sometimes when we hear things, we always think to go to like the reasons why you can't. But there's so many programs out there that are free, that are accessible. Not everything costs. I mean, there are things that cost, but like there are certain things that are out there that are free for you, that go out there, experience life, watch a TED talk, watch something, because there's so much information. Read a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
There's just so much information. I'm glad you sipped your tea, because we always get to so
I
caught
know.
up
I
in
forgot.
talking.
I was like,
Like,
I have
yeah,
to do
let's
this.
sip your
Yeah.
tea. Like,
Let's have a little cheers. I'll
let's
do a
say
cheers
cheers.
to you
Yes,
always.
cheers. Okay, all right. Now he wants a picture. Like, let's try. Okay.
I love it.
Listen, we are having fun in this studio, so we're gonna sip our tea. All right. So, as someone who, like me, are always doing a few things, what is your self care like?
Self-care. What um
Right? Huh?
no, I'm just kidding.
I know.
Well, I used to travel pretty regularly. That was something that was always important to me, and I think that's part of self-care. Like whatever it is, some people go for walks, some people do
Yeah.
exercise. I think it's important to really make sure that you're centering, your life back to like what you're passionate about,
Hmm.
outside of everything and everyone. So I was
Hmm.
always passionate about traveling.
Hmm.
So I traveled the whole world and it was a great experience. So sometimes I'll lay in the bath now and think about those days of traveling. Um, and yeah, I like going for walks with my friends,
Mm.
simple, very simple
Yeah.
things, cooking dinner for my family, just taking some time to really be present for myself, you know?
Mm.
Um, Again, I'd say definitely staying diligent and learning and ever evolving and just, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I do. Hang out with my dog, hanging out with Jackson, and my family is
Yeah.
very important to me.
Hmm.
So yeah, just basics, you
Yeah,
know?
no, but you said something key there. It's just like finding time for yourself, right?
Hmm.
Because that's important. Whether it's just being by yourself and just enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we think that self-care has to be big and extravagant, right? No, like I think you first have to find like in your mind, the peace in your
Mhm.
mind. Like sometimes, yes, you need to go away, and I would give anything to be on a beach right now in Bali, but okay, we're gonna talk about all the places that you
We'll
visit.
go, girl.
Like we will go, like yes, we will go. But self-care sometimes, based on our lifestyle, it's so busy that we have to create these moments and these pockets of time where it's just you. That's how my tea parties, for myself,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like every day I'm gonna have a tea party for myself, whether it's 10 minutes or half an hour, and I'm gonna dress up and I'm gonna sip my tea and I'm just going to be in the moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
No, but we have to be intentional about it, because again, we are, and we don't realize it sometimes. I think that just existing in this space, in this world, we are traumatized by the things that we see on the news, by the inequities that we can't fix,
Hmm.
by homelessness, by child exploitation, by
100%.
missing children, by
Yes.
women being abused. Like there's so many things that like it's exhausting.
Hmm.
And add to that, like for me, like and you, a woman of color, and like all
Yeah.
the other things that go with it. So
Hmm.
it's important that we're intentional about taking care of our internal space.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's also that again circles back to the sisterhood and
Yes.
being there for each other, right? And making sure that we have to constantly make sure we're filling our own cup because
Mm-hmm.
eventually, even this beautiful teacup, that's going to run dry and I'm going to still want to give. And then if I can't give,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what use am I, you know?
No,
So
exactly.
that's a critical component of it is making sure you're taking care of yourself in any way, shape, or form.
Mm.
I used to try to go and get my nails done, and then I didn't like sitting there that long. I don't kind of, and then I learned how to do it myself. And it was a
Oh,
time
and
where I
that's
could put on
fabulous.
something
Yeah.
and just, I take whatever, I think it's like 40 minutes it
And
takes
that's
me. And
you.
so now it's a thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
That's your self-care. Like you sit
yeah,
down and you do your nails and like you're
yeah.
calm and it's nobody else but you.
Yeah, I
And that's
usually
it.
put a little, like, I'll put a podcast or something on, and I'm like, all right, this is
Yeah,
my time,
this is my time. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I know. I don't have the patience for the nails. Like I can't go get my nails done
I'll
in
come
turn.
I'll come do yours. We'll talk and
Okay, we'll do it. We'll
yeah,
have a tea party and do nails.
100%.
100%. Yeah. And you said something else there that is so important. Like, like our relationships with our girlfriends.
Yes.
Those are safe spaces. That
Hmm.
is self-care. Somebody that somebody that cares about you, somebody that will check you in love. Like
Yes.
say, all right, Liz, go lay down for a minute, that girl. Like,
Yeah.
let it go. Or
Back to reality.
like back to reality. But someone is always like cheering for you, like things like that. That's what the safe spaces.
Everything.
That is everything. Like
Hmm.
somebody that like no matter what they say, it's said out of love.
Yeah.
So that for me
100%.
is so much. It's self-care.
Yeah.
Self-care.
Keeping good people around us,
Always.
getting rid of the negative people
Oh,
and yeah, you know
z-
what I mean? That builds us up and empowers us. I think I can speak for both of us when I say, the girls, we all meet up and, we have this time and then you
mhm.
leave and you just feel so energized and like
Yes.
even more
Yes.
motivated. We're very motivated individuals to begin with, but there's just
Absolutely.
something, a
I
lightness
know.
about it,
No,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Listen, I have a couple of friends, like, after like, you meet with them and then if you're talking and they're like, oh my God, like they're like, like you're awesome,
yeah,
or like you're gonna do this. And like if you're saying like you tell them, like, I'm thinking of doing this, and it's like, oh my God, you totally should, you'll be amazing at
yeah.
it. And like even if you had a little doubt in your mind, and
Hmm.
then like you're like, oh thanks. Like that's just what you needed. So
100%. And then that we can pull from that levels from our personal life into our professional life too, because these are all wonderful people, capable,
mhm,
intelligent women. And then we can share our time and our treasure with
absolutely.
them.
No,
And I think
absolutely.
it's a powerful, powerful thing
Oh,
that we build.
yeah,
Yeah.
listen, I could write a book on sisterhood, but
Yeah.
anyway, so you travel a lot, and not anyway because I'm dismissing it because it's just fabulous. So you've traveled to so many places. Tell me about some of the places. I just mentioned Bali, and you said
Yeah.
you've been there.
It's on my top five. So I
Yes,
always say that. So I've been to 44 countries. And I do have a top five. And
tell me, tell me.
so Bali, Indonesia, Croatia, Iceland,
Uh,
Fiji, and New Zealand, the
wow,
North Island of New Zealand. Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah.
Okay,
But there are a lot of, everywhere there's a different
yeah.
gain from it. And I was fortunate to be able to work in a space that I did that. I was in project management at the time, so I could
Hmm.
kind of work and go and move
Wow,
and to be the age I was. So that was like from my early 20s
yeah.
to probably my early 30s. And I
Wow,
I feel very lucky because I feel like it's a different world now and
it is, yeah.
all of those places aren't as accessible as they used to be. So,
No, it's not. And, there's
yeah.
some sadness there, but
Yeah,
yeah,
unfortunately, it's true, and there's safety issues and
absolutely.
things. So,
I mean, the world has shifted and changed a
hmm.
lot. What was Bali like? I don't know if this was big at the time, but the dress that you're supposed to do the flyaway dress. There's a place in Bali. So I don't know if it's over the last couple of years. So when you go, there's supposed to be this big swing that you go on and you wear the flyaway dress and you swing and they take the picture.
Last time I was in Bali was 2020. 12, I
Okay.
believe. No, I did get to meet Couturier from the movie, the Eat, Pray, Love movie.
Oh,
He has since passed away, but I
oh,
that was
oh,
incredible.
that's awesome.
I tell people that Bali is like heaven on earth. It's crazy because we were just talking about the lightness we feel
Yeah,
when we're in like the same room and
yeah.
have the conversations and the energy. That's kind of how you feel when you
Oh,
get to Bali. There's something very
wow.
peaceful about their traditions, about their
Mm,
culture, and yeah,
yeah.
it's heaven on earth.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. My niece is a travel agent and she recommends it a lot. I mean, the
yeah,
flight's long and it's expensive, but she said that the hotels there are affordable and the food there is cheap. She said
yeah,
like she's like everything. She's like, don't worry, because I was like, find an all inclusive. She's like, you don't need an all inclusive. She's like, you'll be fine. It's like, pay for the flight.
yeah. Just get there.
Just get there. She
Yeah.
says you won't regret it. But yeah,
hmm
it's on my list. I haven't done it yet. And, I'm definitely going to go there and visit. Now, did you go to Paris? Is
I've been
everything
to Paris. I will say that it's probably
covered?
not my favorite country. So,
Mm,
I've done pretty much all of France.
okay.
Paris is nice. You know, you have to go see the kind of the important places,
Yeah,
right? And then I actually did the French Riviera with one of my girlfriends,
hmm
and then I was traveling with some other friends,
hmm
and we were up kind of near the Andorra, so like near the Great Pyrenees.
hmm
So that area, I liked that area. That was
Okay.
nice. Paris was okay though.
Okay. Yeah. So, you're growing up, you hear like you have to visit
Yes.
Paris, you have to visit. I would
Yes.
love to visit Rome and Italy and yeah,
Yes.
just
Yeah. See the
so
things you have to see and then
yeah,
always explore. I always tell people to make sure you're going outside of what you think you need to see
yeah,
and then kind of like go a little bit outside and
outside. So
explore and see.
you don't just stay in the hotel, you're saying.
No, no, I like to explore. A little Dora the Explorer, you know?
To enjoy and like explore and try the food because the food there is
That's everything.
it is. So when I go on vacation, well, with the kids now, we do a lot of the all inclusive, but I always say
hmm
like I like what is the authentic food? Like don't just
Yeah.
I'm like I don't want the food that I eat every day. I don't want
Mhm.
pancakes and waffles. I love them,
Yeah.
but I make fabulous pancakes and waffles like for my
Yeah.
kids like almost every day. Like
hmm
I want real taco in Mexico. I want
Yeah.
I want
It's
real
all the stuff.
guacamole
Yeah.
in Mexico. Like, you know.
And it's so, I mean, where culture and food kind of
Yeah.
how they correlate there. It's important because that's experiencing part of their culture when you're eating
hmm
the food and sharing it.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too. And so many
Yeah.
places is sharing food. And I will say that I had a family that I had met when I was in Budapest on
hmm
St. Stephen's Day one day. And this family I stayed in touch with, the beauty
hmm
of Facebook, for years and years after
Love
that. And they
it.
were from Croatia.
Okay.
And years after that, it was probably like 10 years after I'd met them, my girlfriend and I were traveling in Croatia.
hmm
And we were able to meet up, and they had us at their home, and they cooked us this amazing, amazing meal, and we really get to experience a whole day with them and their culture. And it was so different from,
Mm,
anything that I thought or expected. It was just really, really
yeah.
beautiful, and they were sharing that. They were sharing their home and their life
Oh.
and their food with us. And it was something really special.
No, I think that is so important, like just to be open and, go in there and with an open mind. And
hmm
again, we have assumptions about things,
Yeah.
right? And just being open and learning, like, this the vast richness of someone else's culture.
hmm
You don't have to agree with it, but, just to experience it, I
hmm
think it's so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm like, I consider myself very diligent. So I always want to know. I always
Yeah.
have all the questions and I
Yeah.
just want to know
Yeah.
everything. So I think that's helpful too, just
No,
going and
that's important. I will say I'm not adventurous when it comes to food. Like I'm very
I have hard stops too. So
so but I I have been trying to be a little more open. My kids would say, absolutely not, you're not. But
a girl that knows what she likes, I like
I,
that. Yeah.
but I've been trying to get a little better,
Yeah.
with foods. I remember, so I'm from Jamaica originally, and I remember going back, one year and we were at the hotel and like, there's just like everything was just, I mean, I get it. They're serving like an international clientele and it's just like American food. So it was like, I finally was like, dude, like, where's the Jamaican food? Like, I see this every day. It was like, oh, that's like a separate room. Like, I was like, 100%. I bet you if you tell the people in this room that they have authentic Jamaican food right back here, like
Right.
ackee and saltfish and dumpling, all that's where you're gonna choose to go. Like, why are we over here with pancakes and waffles?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I love pancake and waffles, but I was just saying, like,
You're in Jamaica.
I'm in
Yeah,
Jamaica. That's
it
my
makes sense.
homeland. So yeah, like after that, that's where we ate the whole time. I'm like, I can make that at home at any single time. I'm coming here to experience this, and I try to explore a little. Um,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes I'm so exhausted I don't get to explore, but you know,
I think it's sometimes, and I mean, not throwing us under the bus or anything, but as we get older, like I
mm,
said, it's the
yeah,
families. At that time, I was traveling and I was
yeah,
single,
it's different.
and I had my girlfriends and my family and people that I trusted and loved that I could,
Yeah,
have more flexibility. And now
yeah,
I have a family and I have a stepdaughter and
yeah,
more responsibilities.
yeah.
So I don't have as much flexibility in it too. So I think that's something that comes into play, and that's just life changes.
No, it is. And I think that's important because like when my husband and I, like we've been married for it's gonna be 20 something years this year.
Hmm.
Like when we didn't travel as much. And I'm like, I try not to live life with regrets, but I do wish we had traveled more
Yeah.
because then when the kids were born and we traveled, like, A, they were a whole lot more expensive. But
Yes.
travel like shot up. But
Yeah.
it was also limited, like just some of the spaces that we could go, or
Yeah.
like even exploring because my youngest daughter, she just did not like to walk. Like
Oh,
she wanted you to carry her
oh my
everywhere.
goodness.
And when you're exploring and walking in the heat and carrying a
Hmm.
like anything, even a bag is a lot. But yeah, no, I will say no regrets. I've had some great experiences, and now that the kids are older, I'm looking forward to vacationing with them and
True
going
vacations.
to, yes, where they could experience it,
Yeah.
and then just really, really love it.
And you don't have to bring a stroller, or if they're hungry, they can grab
Yeah, no,
something. Yeah.
they're like they're fine, and I think she's old enough now. I'm like, okay, now we can have attached rooms
Yeah.
because before I couldn't, I just couldn't
Yeah.
see them out. I'm like, I need to see you right there. So we have the suite now. Like even with
Hmm.
suite, I wanted the one that was open so I could see
Yeah.
them through the
Yeah. You're not getting close.
like. You're not like you don't have any door that you could open that I.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
So
still there.
my daughter, she's like, they like to remind me of like, this is my age, mom. I'm like, I'm aware, but no,
We got to keep you, everyone. Yeah. Everyone's safe. That's
everyone's
important,
safe. Yeah.
especially
So
in this day and age.
yeah. So what are some of the hobbies that you do? I've like, so I read a lot,
Okay.
and I've decided that last year, I think the past couple of years, I'm trying my hand at golf. Tell me some things that you do. Like, do you golf?
Girl, okay, I bought a set of Cobras
Yeah.
during COVID.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy it. I've gone out, a handful of times with
Yeah.
friends. Ideally I'd like to be able to play in a golf tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and not get kicked off,
Mm-hmm.
the cart, So
Yeah.
yeah, so I have a lot of work to do, but I do enjoy golfing.
Yeah.
When I can, like I said, going for walks with my friends.
Yeah.
I do have a bike, but I do not ride it. I probably should. Yeah,
Yeah.
I write, and
Awesome.
I take the time to
Yeah.
do dinners with friends when I
Yeah.
can and be present for all my nieces and nephews,
Yeah.
and that stuff is all important. So
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, no, the golf, I get it. I agree. I'm trying my hand at it. I don't know if I'm any good, but
we'll go. We'll go.
we yeah, you gotta
I
teach
need some
me.
practice. No,
Yeah.
no, you do not. I'm not that girl.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I know
Like,
my scope.
okay, all right, that's fine. So we have the virtual reality game.
Oh,
So
cool.
I think at home, yeah, honey, my husband. So I guess not me. But yeah,
Nice practice.
it is. So I'm not gonna ask him to get, one of the golf games so he could practice the swing because it's very realistic.
Yeah.
Because I did the roller coaster one last week and I was like freaking out.
Oh,
Like,
geez.
yeah, anyway. I'm
I'm
not
like,
a,
I have to come over and check that out.
like so much fun. Like you
Yeah.
have to. It's like I'm not a roller coaster person. So I'm like, let me try it in the
Yeah.
game. But it like felt so real.
So you get that like
I
in your
did.
stomach. You're like,
Yeah, no. So it was fun. Like you have to come over. We'll do tea. We'll do nail.
oh, I love
We'll
that.
make
It'll
a
be so
whole
fun.
day of it.
I
Like,
love
yeah,
that.
we'll
Yeah.
shut down business for like
Self-care. Yeah.
self-care. It's important because if we're not well, the business
Absolutely.
will not be
Yeah.
well.
Fill in the cup.
Phil. Listen,
Yeah.
we've got to. So, what are some of the things though that you do? You're filling your cup to encourage and support other women, in part from collaborating with the business and all of that to help them fill their cup and to understand. Because I want to see you at more events speaking. Like you're just so inspiring. Like I want to walk in a room and see your phenomenal face, like on the panel, just talking about, that just what makes you you and how you can just empower other women.
I mean, it's just kind of being there. Authenticity, I think that's a big part of everything that I've tied into. It's just really being, true to myself and to
Yeah.
others and allowing myself to be vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and encouraging others to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's just really kind of, it's about showing up.
Yeah.
That's important too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just being out our authentic selves and being there,
Mm-hmm.
sharing our
Mm-hmm.
experiences and um, yeah.
Okay. So who has been the most impactful person in your life, do you think?
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. I've had so many. I've had
Yeah.
so many inspiring people. I don't even know if I could just say one person.
Give me a
I mean
few.
my oh
We
god.
want to.
My parents
Okay.
100% just incredibly loving
Mm-hmm.
and caring and always accepting as I talked about before being adopted, it was never I think I had the experience I had was because we talked about it and I
Mm.
knew about it. And I mean, I was always, a little brown Colombian girl and my mom, was 5'11" at the time. She had blonde hair, blue eyes. So
Yeah.
no one literally had to take me into,
The
a
room.
family meeting and sit me down and say, you were adopted. So it was always
Okay.
known and really accepted in our house. We had this beautiful magnet and it said, I grew inside like my mommy's heart and not her heart. Like it was something
Oh.
along those lines.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, just so my parents for sure, and
Mm.
that goes along with everything, strength, work ethic, definitely and kindness, making sure no matter what's going on in my life and in our
Mm-hmm.
lives at the time, that we're always showing up for others and
Mm-hmm.
wanting, to do for others. So I'd say my parents definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say my old boss, John, he was a great mentor to me. I think he really encouraged me to bring a lot of myself into my work. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's how I was able to be so impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so definitely John. He was wonderful.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who else. There's been like a lot of different people.
No, it has been in different
Yeah.
parts of our lives. We need
Yeah.
different things, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
while you're thinking of that, I want to go back to, like you said, there was never a big moment where they took you in the room and says, like you are adopted. And I was not going to ask you, that, like, when did you know? But you're like, it was kind of obvious. So,
We always knew. And
yeah.
actually I will speak for my sister too. I think yeah, it was something that was known and accepted and
Mm-hmm.
we never felt different. We looked
Just,
different. Obviously
yeah.
we looked different.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the biggest part of it was
That's
that I
it.
didn't
Yeah.
have anybody that I looked like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in that respect, we were very, very fortunate,
Mm-hmm.
that it was a community type thing. So like there was never any bullying or anything
Yeah.
like that. Everyone just kind of knew and it was just accepted and
It was just
it
like,
wasn't
oh,
really a thing. I think like when I got older, you get a little bit older and you have like your adult friends
yeah.
and they're meeting your family
For
for
the
the first
first,
time. And it's not anything negative, of
yeah, they just
course,
don't know.
but that's not what they're picturing in their mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, but yeah, I think that's the only thing that was ever kind of
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. So, do you think that being adopted has shaped your, I mean, obviously it has, but like what the biggest thing that you've said that how it's shaped you and your thinking or how you handle things?
I I don't really know. I think maybe understanding that belonging,
Mm,
because we talk about the DEIJB
mm-hmm,
and, that belonging factor. We could talk for days about why
mm,
DEI is important.
mm-hmm.
But I do believe that belonging factor is something that we
It
need to put a
really
little bit
is.
more weight and emphasis behind.
Mm-hmm,
Um, so again, it could even be something that was just in my mind. So maybe there was times where I
mm-hmm,
didn't feel quite American or Colombian or people
mm,
anticipated me to,
Hmm.
be react a different way.
Hmm.
But I say,
No, I understand. Well, not in that respect, but I understand what you say about belonging
hmm
and just how important it is to feel like you belong. So when I came from Jamaica, I didn't have an accent. And I remember um, meeting a family member at the airport when they picked me up, and his first words was like, "Why don't you have an accent?" And like, I was like, "Okay." Mind you, I was a teen, and I've always spoken this way. And it was like, why don't you have an accent?" I'm like, "Okay," and whatever. So like, he was, I think, kind of mad that I didn't, because I think he was kind of in his mind thinking, "Oh, this little country bumpkin from Jamaica coming up, he's like, so let me show him like the wonders of America." And I was, it was beautiful. I mean, it was cold. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't dressed for the weather. I was
no.
not, girl. I wore like a beautiful like rayon pantsuit
Oh
from
no.
Jamaica. It was February.
Oh
It was
gosh.
so cold. I don't think people could explain to you what cold is till you've experienced cold. Because coming from Jamaica, like,
Yeah.
we just had some cold nights, girl.
First and only time you weren't dressed to
And for the
accommodate
occasion,
everything,
right?
right?
Listen, it was brutal. Like it went through my body. But anyway, I was really thin at the time. It was like, okay. But that kind of shaped like a lot of my interaction, because I remember then coming to Worcester. And, I think like my, Caucasian classmates, Latino classmates, like they knew I was Black. They knew that I was Jamaican, because for them, they could hear an accent. So
Right.
then the Jamaicans were like, they were exceptionally mean, actually, because they were like, "Oh, she doesn't have an accent. She's trying not to have an accent." Um, so it was really like, I am so grateful that I've always had a very strong sense of self, because I think that it would have been very, very harmful for me at the time, just to try to navigate that, coming to a foreign country, a new school, not knowing anybody. Like most of the population doesn't look like me. And then like the one
Yeah.
population that was supposed to accept me, they said I acted white. They said I didn't talk with an accent, as it's intentional. And
Yeah.
I get it a little now, like even like with the adults, like they'll say to me, "Oh, you don't have an accent, but I have an accent," as if that makes me less Jamaican,
Yeah.
because I don't. And I
It's the identity and the belonging and that little conundrum.
exactly. So it is. And I think always like people always try to push their beliefs on you. And I think that's for me what I remember, and I think probably what's worked for you, and hopefully for others, to say like, that's your perception. I know who I am. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not worried by it. But that's something that you have to be intentional about,
Right.
because people will try to either put you in a box or pull you out of the box that you have yourself in, because they can't grasp the concept of something different.
hmm
So instead of embracing it, they try to break it down.
We're lucky. We have some more, breaking down of those societal, barriers and images now than when we were younger.
Oh
So
God,
that's
yes.
something that I always think that we need to keep in mind is it was a
Mm,
different world back
it
then.
was.
So it was hard for them to grasp on and to see that. And,
Oh,
diversity wasn't really a thing, or you're
yeah.
just like, this is how I see you and this is
Mm,
what I think. There's a lot of the unconscious bias. So there's a
oh,
lot of work that we do in the
mm,
DEIJB community where it's like
yeah.
that unconscious bias just puts you right on your
Exactly.
feet.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if maybe that's why we're drawn to each other. And I think that's why, for me, especially, like it's so important for me to let others feel like they belong. So when I see someone, I'm always smiling, I'm always welcoming, I'm
Yeah,
always including them, because I never want them to feel like you don't belong here. So I think that's what
yeah,
drives me, just because of my experience. And I'm like, I was lucky. I was not lucky. I was blessed. But I think that we can do some simple things to let people feel like they belong.
absolutely. Yeah, something
Yeah,
daily.
that's
Treat
it.
everybody with a smile.
A smile.
Yep,
Welcome.
that
Okay.
kindness. That's also who we are, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I think being genuine.
Yeah.
People can read through that. I think that counters into the empowerment and the success
Mm-hmm.
because people know that.
Yeah.
So I think when you and I ask people how they're doing,
Yeah.
we're expecting an answer because we genuinely want to know. Like,
Yeah.
tell me stuff, tell me
Yeah.
everything, please. The gathering of the information, and
Yeah.
it's genuine,
Yeah.
and it's just not a formality, right?
Yeah.
Just
No.
hey, how are you? Like, run away. You're like, wait a second. You
Oh, I
know?
genuinely want to
Right.
know like how everyone's doing. Oh, it's funny. This reminds me of when I was traveling once and I was at the airport. So the security guard there, so it's like, everybody. So I was like, "Hi, how are
Mhm.
you?" And he was like, "I'm tired. I'm overworked, and I want a nap." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Is everything okay?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you heard me." Yes.
Yeah. Just one of those things.
We
It's
don't
not just
listen.
it's like saying hi, right? A lot of
Yeah,
people will say just like, hi,
yeah,
how are you? And like,
yeah, yeah. But I
and
try to be intentional about that because it can
yes.
happen. Like in the business of life, like sometimes somebody could say something to you, you miss it, and you're like, "Oh, wait, what?" So I try to be intentional and to always learn and grow. And if, a friend reminds me, like, girl, like, I wanted to talk and you didn't really pick up on that, if they say, I want to make sure that I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, here I am now.
Yeah.
Because I really want to show up for my friends
Yeah.
when they need me
Show up all the time.
all the
You and I are
time.
very similar in many ways.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, darling. So let's talk about those shoes because those are fabulous. And I have a thing for shoes.
That
Like, yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
definitely like a self-care thing. I
Yeah.
have, yeah, if there's anything that I like to, cause I like to have nice
Yes,
shoes.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes. Shoes.
Yes. I don't get to wear them all the time since, life
Yeah.
has changed since COVID. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do like to throw on a nice pair of
Yeah, I
shoes.
know. Any brands you're loving lately?
I like the Christian Louboutin. Right under the bus I go.
Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah, and
fabulous.
Chanel, of course, I
Yes.
have a few
Yeah.
pieces of
So
Chanel,
what I'll find
Gucci.
with, and you and I have had this conversation because again, we always think that our the differences sets us apart, but it makes us so connected. Like
Mhm.
my issue is things are not big enough.
And then we're on the polar opposite end of
Your
this. But
issue
yeah,
is things are too big.
yeah,
So I'm like, I can't find shoes because like the size of my feet, and you're like, I can't find shoes because the size of your
yeah.
feet. So the Louboutins, I can't. So I've tried like when I've been to Palm Beach or something like that, they
Hmm.
have the big old store.
Yep.
They just don't have my size.
So just I would order them online.
Okay.
They do run a little bit smaller, but
They
they
do.
do have the larger sizes online.
Mm,
So do that, and then if so, you can't return them at the stores anymore. So then you would have to just send them back in the
yeah.
mail. But they're worth it. You know what I mean?
No,
There's
they are. Listen, their European 41 is not a 41. They are a
yeah,
size small.
yeah.
The,
They're a little smaller. It's
the,
like the pants and anything that's European.
yeah, it's just like I was like, dude, like, oh, but I haven't tried online because I'm just like, I'm not ready. But
Yeah.
okay, okay, I will try
Whatever.
them out,
Yeah. Send them back. You can send them back.
which is it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, just
Like
don't take the bottom like covers off because if you even like look at them the wrong way, they
they
won't they
scuff.
won't take them back.
Well, again, because people buy return, so
Yeah,
they have to make sure that people are not taking advantage and buying it for a special occasion, and
right.
and
Right.
oh, and they're not cheap, girl. So
No.
we gotta you gotta make sure if they don't fit
Hmm.
and they don't take it back, you're out of a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
better make sure you protect that. But oh my goodness, I have had such a great time with you, and I can't believe my producer's looking at me. He's telling me that our hour is up.
I know.
I know, but I just want to make sure that I gave you the platform to share anything. There's so much more to you, like a plethora of other things we could talk about, but we don't have the time. But I want to make sure that you have the platform that you could share anything. And is there anything that you would like to share with your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see you all at the Glass Tower on September 12th for the CASA Project to support our Champions for Children event. You can find out some more information at www.thecasaproject.org.
All right, yay, thank you. So
And jaxseafoodma.com if you want to check us out there. You can also
yes,
check us out.
absolutely. Yes. And I know some people with some restaurants. So listen, so first of all, thank you all so much for tuning in week after week. I really appreciate you. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, it's Positive Vibe Studio. On Facebook, it's Positively Suzanne, the phenomenal Liz Estabrooks, owner and CEO of Jax Seafood and Jax's Dog Food. Yay. So it's just in time delivery. So if you're looking for fresh seafood, this is the space that you want to check out. And she does so much. A big passion of hers is the Casa Project. Find out what it is, check them out. Find out, like, let's meet in September at the gala. I will start shopping for my gown now. So,
Girl.
like, listen, plus, I have my gala in December. So I have several gowns to shop for.
And when is that?
December 14th. December
Okay.
14th. Yeah, December 14th. Thank you.
Yeah.
December 14th at AC Marriott. So I'm looking forward to that. But listen, this has been a joy and a pleasure just chatting with her and listening. It was like just two girlfriends chatting and talking about that, and some dates and some plans were made, not for her to teach me how to play golf. That was very
We're gonna
specific
go
and
anyways.
important. Like, we're gonna go. She won't teach me. But we're going to get together. We're going to do some things. I am always so grateful and humbled when I have the opportunity to spotlight phenomenal people, especially phenomenal women, especially phenomenal women of color. So I want to thank you
Thank
for
you.
saying yes and for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Anytime, anytime,
I'm there,
anytime.
girl.
All right. Yes. All right.
I
So
got you, girl.
always, I got you,
Yes.
sis. I got you, sis. Yes, yes.
Love it.
So thank you to my phenomenal producer. Thank you once again. Always making the magic happen. If I didn't thank you, I will put it in the comments. I appreciate you, love you all, and I'm going to have Miss Liz end with an empowering quote.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh
you're
my
like, what?
goodness.
Just encourage folks.
Stay authentic, stay real, stay tenacious, ask a lot of questions, and help each other out as much as possible. Always show up.
I love it. Couldn't say it any better myself. See you next time. Bye.